Hi, BrenTech here, where tech is made simple. So a day or so ago, I posted a video on how you can check your RAM capacity on Windows. So basically that means how you can check to see how much physical random access memory your device can actually carry and take, which obviously is useful if you want to upgrade. Now, after posting that video, which by the way, I'll leave down below in the description, I was actually asked a very good question, which was broken up into a couple of categories. The question was, what are these different capabilities caused by? Does the operating system or firmware limit the maximum memory? Is it limited by the capabilities of the motherboard or processor? And finally, what is the origin of these limits? And I thought that was a good question. Read the fact that I'm posting this video today. And in this video, I'm going to try and answer that like we like to do on the channel in a simple way as possible. Now, first of all, if you want to check how much actual physical RAM your system is carrying, the easiest on Windows 10 and Windows 11 would be to right-click on your taskbar, click on Task Manager, and head to your Performance section, and then head over to Memory and click on that. And here you'll see in the top right corner of the Memory page, in the Memory menu, you will see the total amount of physical random access memory your system is carrying. So I'm carrying 8 gigabytes on this laptop. 7.8 of that is usable. So some of that's in use by the actual system by default, but nonetheless, I've got 8 gigabytes that this system is currently carrying. Now, getting back to answering that question. Now, first of all, in a nutshell, the maximum amount of RAM a computer can support depends on the operating system and the motherboard, and that's the short answer. Now, the longer answer, which I'm just going to dive into quickly, is obviously a computer's memory is limited because it's not infinite. So infinite means it goes on forever. So your computer's memory is limited. And memory basically is designed for quick access and usually only stores the data and instructions needed for the programs currently running. So it's not long-term storage in your memory like a hard drive or an SSD. It's short-term storage, and data can be accessed a lot quicker from memory than it can, say, from a physical hard drive. Now, some reasons why your computer's memory is limited, and this is broken down into a couple of categories. First of all, hardware. Then software and economic factors, capacity and cost. Now, starting with hardware. Obviously, the hardware may have a limited number of address bus bits. So that's actual physical hardware, which is limited by the processor package or system design. So that's the first reason why your memory may be limited on your system. The second is software and economic factors. And these factors can also limit the maximum random access memory, RAM, installed in a computer system. So basically, to break that down, if you generally have a 32-bit system, your maximum memory you can carry is 4 gigabytes, generally. Obviously, there's an exception to the rule. And a 64-bit operating system, as an example, like Windows 11, Windows 10 Pro, and so on, can carry a maximum of 16 exabytes. Now, if you don't know what an exabyte is, basically, it's a unit of measurement for data that is equal to 1,000 petabytes or 1 billion gigabytes. That's a lot of RAM. But nonetheless, obviously, that's just what that is basically just a theoretical limit when it comes to memory. But when it comes to practicalities, obviously, this will depend mainly on cost and software and economic factors, and obviously the hardware that you are running. Now, getting back to the capacity. A piece of hardware has a capacity and can only handle a certain amount of processing. So that's another reason. And then the cost. Obviously, manufacturing larger storage capacities can be expensive. So obviously, you can't keep buying unlimited amount of RAM because obviously the costs then will pile up. Now, that's just breaking it down in a simple a way as possible, as mentioned. And obviously, when you run more apps, you can deplete the amount of RAM available on a PC. So as an example here, in my case, my memory is quite high at the moment that's in use. And that's because obviously I'm running a PWA at the moment, which is basically a web browser that's open. I'm recording this video in real time, and I have the Task Manager open, and I only have 8 gigabytes installed on this system. So basically, the more programs and apps you have running, obviously your RAM can be depleted a lot faster. So each program consumes a portion of the available RAM And if the combined usage exceeds the available capacity, the computer may become sluggish. And that's the reason why I posted that video the other day, and basically how to check your RAM capacity on Windows, because it's useful if you want to upgrade and see, according to what we've discussed today, those limits to see how much RAM capacity your Windows can actually carry your device. And obviously that is useful if you want to upgrade. So just thought I'd put it out there, and that was a good question. And I always appreciate questions, good constructive questions and criticism on the channel. And obviously, if you have any, just let me know. And if I can and I have the time available, obviously, I always like to try and get back to you guys and try and put it out there. But I hope that clears up a little bit of confusion. Obviously, this wasn't diving like really into all the aspects of RAM and CPUs and motherboards and so on, but just a couple of pointers, as mentioned. Mainly the hardware, software, and economic factors, capacity and cost, which obviously all contribute to that RAM limit. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.